Hi, I'm Bill Steele, and I'm co-leader of Proyecto Espeleológico Sistema Huautla, PESH, we call it for short, which is the ongoing exploration study of Sistema Huautla. Some people call it the greatest cave in the world, but it is the deepest cave in the Western Hemisphere. I've just returned to Texas after a 4-day drive across Mexico and 5 weeks on an expedition. We decided when we organized the reorganization of caving in Huautla and gave it a new name, Proyecto Espeleológico Sistema Huautla, PESH for short, that we would concentrate on community outreach, because there are some world-class looking entrances that we've never, in all the years of going there, nobody's ever been able to get permission to enter because of beliefs of the people, because of not understanding what we're really about, being suspicious of outsiders and thinking we're going to go in there to get something to enrich ourselves, all that. So we're trying to overcome that with community outreach. So last year we installed a very well-made display in the main government building in the largest city in the mountains there, which is Huautla de Jimenez. And it's National Park Service Visitor Center quality, made by the same companies that make stuff for the National Park Service. We got a generous grant from a supporter to build it. And I'm happy to report that a year later, with probably thousands of viewings and flipping through the pictures, it's in perfect shape. The thing is robust. So this year, we went to the village of San Agustin, Zaragoza, which is about 10 kilometers from Huautla, and right there between two of the largest entrances, actually, come to think of it, 5 of the largest entrances of the 20 entrances to Sistema Huautla. We took a large, essentially about the largest you can get, digital picture frame that hangs on the wall, and you put a USB drive in it, and it's got 243 greatest hit photographs of those caves right there by the village that change every 15 seconds. And then summaries of the expeditions through the years in Spanish that come up every so many slides. So that's popular already. So those are displays that we have put up in 2 places. Whole Earth Provision Company created some brochures for us. There were 3 brochures, 1, 2, 3, for soliciting support. One's a basic one. Second one's if somebody's interested, more information. Third one is they decide they'd like to donate or support. It's got the kind of information that they would probably like to see, including a budget. The fourth one is that first brochure, the general one, in Spanish. And whoa, is that a good idea? It was a good idea from the border on, because even passing through the border with maybe as much as 4 tons of gear and rope and food, things that we needed to haul down that you can't buy down there. You know, what is this? They wonder when you're crossing an international border. Well, it's this. Here's the brochure. And it was interesting. And they asked if they could keep them. And we were delayed at most, half hour crossing the border. And sometimes it can be a lot longer than that. So that worked out great. Then there was the unexpected thing. The unexpected thing was someone who turned up in Huautla, and her name is Alma Rodriguez. Alma sent me a friend request last November, and I saw that she was from Huautla. That's good enough for me. I need as many friends there as I can get. But then I noticed that she made comments on postings about our caving there that were in very good English. So I asked her, how do you speak English so well and write English so well? Well, it turns out she's got a degree in English and a degree in French from the university in Puebla. And she taught in Tehuacan at the university there, at university level. So she's teaching now in Huautla. And she said that she thinks what we're doing there is the most interesting thing happening in her homeland, and she wanted to be a part of it. Well, was she ever? She's a big part of it, and now a crucial part of it. She not only translated every one of the 14 school presentations I gave, and I'll say more about that in a second, but she is a diplomat. And she is learning Mazatec, but she's a linguist, so she's learning it faster than anybody I know. And that's an Indian language, an ancient Indian language. Her mother speaks it fluently, so she's able to speak it with her mother because she lives with her mother. But she can understand 70% of what is being said in that language. And that was real beneficial because there were several times when I gave a presentation and I could tell she was listening to a conversation a few feet away, and then she'd turn around to me and say something like, they're talking about what you just said and it's positive, or, she knew what they were saying in Mazatec, and I, could hardly pick out a syllable in it. We gave 14 school presentations to as many as 800 students. Now that sounds a lot for 14, but 3 of them were in Huautla itself in a nice big auditorium, well darkened, good screen, PowerPoint presentation to 150 students each time. So 3 times 150 is 450. And then we're estimating the other 10 had probably a total of 500. So that's good in that obviously those kids, who I'm happy to say seem very interested, very quiet, very alert, ask excellent questions, they go home and talk to their parents. And we started getting feedback on that while we were there. Parents saying, oh yeah, I heard about that. That's interesting. We didn't really know what those caves are about. They're kind of scary. They're big and dark and deep, and wind blows out of them, and you hear noises down in there, and people guess what's happening in there, and the cave spirits maybe live in there and so forth. But you take pictures, you show our kids, and they're interested in the science and the reality of it. So that was good. So we're looking toward the future, and maybe the immediate future, maybe next year is the year where the highest entrances to Sistema Huautla, the big, amazing entrances that we've never been able to go in, will finally be available to us. Then there's the aspect that is new. And I guess over the last couple of years of Pesh expeditions, I've seen it coming. And that's to address the spiritual aspect of the caves. Because there's a firm belief by the Mazatec speakers, by those who haven't maybe gotten a high school education, or maybe have, and still have the same spiritual beliefs about the caves. There's strong spiritual beliefs among those people. And we, of course, completely respect those. Some of them have to do with the caves. And for the last couple of years, it's been suggested to me several times by not only friends of ours in Huautla, but even government officials, new friends, that you really need to have a ceremony, a cleansing ceremony, to get right with the cave spirits. So this year we did that. How do you go about that? Well, it kind of came to us this year. It was the time for it to happen. And it did. And in fact, we ended up having 3 of them. And one of them was a big deal. And we were told it caught us up from 50 years of not doing it. So that's why it was such a big deal. It actually had 2 phases to it. It had a preparation phase where the curandero was in our cookhouse with candles lit and incense burning and a lot of ceremony in Mazatec and a live turkey that we'd bought in the market. And then we went to one of the entrances to Sistema Huautla. And we didn't know what was going to happen. We just knew that we were in for the ride, and we were going to do what we were asked to do. And Turned out the turkey was sacrificed by me, in fact, as the leader of the project. I was asked to go ahead and drop it in the pit, and I think I questioned that more than once. Really? Do you really mean that? And he did. He did really mean that. So down it went, and of course it died in the fall, as was reported later by people that saw its remains at the bottom. And then the other two ceremonies, I mean, there were two parts to the big one. Then the other two were with another group that came out to see us, and that group included an employee of UNESCO, you know, United Nations organization, and she's an anthropologist from Mexico City, and they wanted to be taken in a cave. And so there's what I call easy cave near Plan Carlota where we were staying, meaning you don't need ropes, you can just walk in, there's nothing to fall off of. You might not even need a helmet because the ceiling's about 8 feet high consistently. Well, about 50 feet into that cave, some broken pottery. And I'd even stopped and said something about it, you know, because it's been analyzed and we know that it's got Teotihuacan influence, and, you know, it's about 1,000 years old and that kind of thing. It's broken. Not much of it. We don't touch it. We just look at it, take pictures of it. Well, when the UNESCO anthropologist got to it, she said, oh, this is pre-Hispanic. And then she felt like cave spirits had entered her body and wanted to leave. And people sometimes react to caves, you know, they're not used to them, and they have all kinds of thoughts, you know, claustrophobia or whatever. Well, she felt like a cave spirit entered her body. So outside the cave, they did a cleansing ceremony for her, and used incense and a lot of words in Mazatec. And in the end did something that I've heard of that I'd never actually seen before, and that is to cleanse a person of either bad thoughts or, in this case, cave spirits that they're worried about. Whoever's leading the ceremony finalizes it by burping them out. And I saw that. I was 3 feet from the woman when she burped the spirits out. So that woman felt very relieved to be cleansed of the cave spirits. So we were also asked to not talk about it, which was a surprise because we thought we wanted people to know we'd done this. And we said, no, you know, just let it tell its own story. Let the cave spirits spread the word. And I think what they really meant was, don't come across as bragging about it. Don't come across as, you know, maybe having the wrong attitude about it. Just sit back and the right thing will happen. So we got some feedback that people were happy that we'd done it. And we never had to say a word about it. It just filtered, got out there, spread, word spread.